Hey everybody, I'm Kris White with the American Battlefield Trust, and I'm standing in historic downtown Wilmington, North Carolina, in front of the Burgin-Wright House, which served as Lord Charles Cornwallis's headquarters after the Battle of Guilford Courthouse. Wilmington was founded between 1739 and 1740. The colony of North Carolina, much like the rest of the east coast of the United States, will be settled along the coastal waterways, specifically here in Wilmington along the Cape Fear River. Those early settlers will come here, they will establish a port, they will establish a hub, and then move into the backcountry. Over time, Wilmington will grow in size and in popularity for folks to come here in the shipping trade, as well as bringing in goods from the Piedmont to the port to ship them to other areas of the United States, and then later on, the Southern Confederacy. Now, Wilmington, in the pre-Revolutionary War days, will see its own Boston Tea Party, if you will, and it will be a hotbed of both loyalist and patriot sentiments as the war starts to, or the war clouds start to come across these 13 American colonies. Governor William Tryon will set up his palace not too far from here at New Bern. You can learn more about that in our Battle of Alamance video. And then later on, we'll have Josiah Martin, his successor, come into the Wilmington area as he calls in loyalist troops, those still loyal to the King and Crown, to come to Wilmington, which will culminate in the Battle of Moores Creek Bridge in February of 1776. As the war wages on, North Carolina will come a backwater until about 1780 and 1781, when General Charles the Lord Cornwallis will start moving up from South Carolina into North Carolina. After his March 1781 victory at the Battle of Guilford Courthouse, he will move here to Wilmington to use the port to resupply his troops, and then to use the port as his projection of power so he can go up or down the East Coast and redeploy his small army. He will eventually redeploy his army to Yorktown. After Cornwallis departs here from Yorktown, there'll be a series of small skirmishes, nothing large or of note to talk about, but Wilmington will then fall into Patriot hands and then move on with its history, which will turn to next the Civil War. During the Civil War, the Cape Fear River will be a very important inlet for Confederate blockade runners. Specifically, we'll have a number of forts, including Fort Anderson, as well as Fort Fisher, the largest earthen fort in the Southern Confederacy. These will protect blockade runners bringing in supplies and materials here to Wilmington, which will be one of the busiest ports in the Southern Confederacy, and will eventually supply Robert E. Lee's army up around Petersburg. In February of 1865, Fort Fisher falls, and shortly thereafter, Wilmington will fall as well, through a series of engagements near Fort Fisher, Fort Anderson, and a place called Forks Road, where the United States colored troops will engage near what is Cameron's Art Center today. A lost battlefield, we thought, but rediscovered very recently by historian Chris Fonville and a small team from Eastern Carolina University. Also here during the Southern Confederacy, also here during the Civil War, was the Berry shipyard, and that is where the CSS Noose, as well as the CSS Albemarle, will be created. Their keels will be laid here in Wilmington. So if you come down to Wilmington's historic waterfront, you can see the general location of where those two ships' keels were laid. Also moored along the Cape Fear River is the USS North Carolina, a World War II battleship, and also a memorial to the 11,000 North Carolinians who gave their lives during the Second World War. It's a floating museum and memorial to these men and women, and you can even climb aboard the decks, go through its causeways, and see its impressive 16-inch guns. Wilmington is a beautiful pre-Revolutionary War city, and if you ever get a chance to come down to North Carolina's 8th largest city, we encourage you to take a historic walking tour, check out the Burgin-Wright House, and check out Fort Fisher, Fort Anderson, and all of the other great sites here in Wilmington, North Carolina.